The ultimatum. The hegemony's vast warship hung in the darkness above Europa, its obsidian hull absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Inside the command center, Supreme Consul Charon watched the blue marble of Earth with 6 cold, calculating eyes. His chitinous exoskeleton clicked softly as he shifted in his gravity chair. "They've had enough time," he announced to his war council. "Humanity has defied the hegemony for the last time." Around him, the representatives of 17 conquered species nodded in agreement. The hegemony had united half the galaxy through diplomacy when possible and conquest when necessary. Earth had become an irritating exception, a single planet refusing to bow to the inevitable. "Broadcast the ultimatum," Charon commanded. "Let them understand what comes next." Across Earth, every communication device simultaneously activated. Phones, computers, televisions, radios, all carried the same message. Charon's imposing figure appeared on screens worldwide, his translator converting his clicking speech into every human language simultaneously. "People of Earth," the Supreme Consul began, mandibles flaring with authority. "Your resistance ends today. For 30 Earth years, you have refused the protection and prosperity of the hegemony. You have developed technologies without oversight. You have explored space without permission. You have communicated with non-hegemony species against our explicit directive." Charon's secondary limbs extended in a gesture that, in hegemony culture, signified finality. "You will surrender all planetary governance to hegemony representatives within 1 Earth rotation. You will dismantle your militaries and space capabilities. You will accept hegemony citizenship with limited autonomy status." His voice lowered to a threatening rumble. "Failure to comply will result in immediate military response. The hegemony armada stands ready. We have conquered worlds far more advanced than yours. Resistance is unnecessary suffering." The transmission cut abruptly, leaving humanity in stunned silence. 3 kilometers beneath the Antarctic ice shelf, Commander Elena Reyes watched the broadcast with a grim expression. Around her, the command center of Earth's most classified military installation hummed with activity. Project Silent Vanguard had been preparing for this day for 15 years. "They finally did it," said Admiral Chen, standing beside her. "Took them long enough." Elena nodded, her dark eyes reflecting the tactical displays surrounding them. "Are we ready?" Chen gestured to the global readiness board. Green indicators glowed at every checkpoint. "Silent Vanguard is at full operational capacity. The quantum network is stable. All subsystems report optimal functionality. And the civilian evacuations, 97% complete. The remaining 3% are either in transit or..." Chen hesitated, refusing to leave. Elena closed her eyes briefly. Some would always choose to stay, despite the risks. It was the price of freedom, the very thing they were fighting to preserve. "Initiate Phase 1, she commanded. Above them, across Earth's surface, and throughout the solar system, humanity began to disappear. From the hegemony's perspective, it was as if Earth had suddenly gone silent. Communications ceased. Power grids went dark. Orbital satellites deactivated. Even the heat signatures of major cities faded from thermal scans. On the hegemony flagship, Charon's irritation turned to confusion. "Explain," he demanded of his chief intelligence officer. "Unknown, Supreme Consul," the Pavinan officer replied, feathers rippling with concern. "They appear to have shut down." "A planetary civilization doesn't simply shut down," Charon snapped. "Is this surrender or some primitive attempt at deception?" "Our analysis suggests." The officer never finished his sentence. Across the galaxy, on every communication frequency, a new transmission began. Unlike the hegemony's forced broadcast, this one was subtle, almost gentle in its intrusion. The message was simple, a black background with white text in the common galactic script. A calm human voice spoke as the words appeared. "To the hegemony and all galactic civilizations, you have judged us by your standards and found us wanting. You have measured our technology by what we have revealed. You have calculated our strength by what you could observe. You have made a critical error in judgment. Humanity does not wish for conflict, but we have prepared for it. We have watched. We have learned. We have adapted. This is not a surrender. This is not a negotiation. This is a demonstration. The screen changed to show the solar system, but not as it currently existed. The image revealed vast structures hidden in dimensional pockets throughout Earth's domain. Orbital platforms bigger than cities. Fleets concealed within the atmospheres of gas giants. Energy weapons embedded in moons. The voice continued. For every ship you send, we have prepared a response. For every weapon you deploy, we have engineered a defense. We have developed technologies you have not yet imagined, because we knew this day would come. The image shifted again to show historical footage. Species after species falling to the hegemony, their worlds stripped of resources, their populations subjugated. We choose a different path. We choose freedom. Then the transmission ended, leaving only silence. In the hegemony command ship, Sharon's rage built to a crescendo. Launch the Armada. Full invasion protocols. I want that planet reduced to ash. Thousands of warships surged forward from their hiding places behind Jupiter and Saturn, where they had been gathering for months. The hegemony fleet was a marvel of destructive capability. Planet killers, each one. As they approached Earth's orbit, sensors detected no defensive measures, no military response. The planet remained dark and silent. They're bluffing, Sharon declared. A primitive psychological tactic. Continue the approach. The first wave of hegemony destroyers entered Earth's upper atmosphere. For 3 seconds, everything proceeded according to invasion protocols. Then they vanished. Not destroyed. There were no explosions, no debris. The ships simply ceased to exist. One moment, 50 warships streaked toward their targets. The next, empty space. What happened? Sharon demanded, rising from his command chair. Where are my ships? The second wave halted their approach, sensors scanning frantically for explanations. They found nothing. No energy weapons, no conventional attacks, nothing that could explain the disappearance of 50 capital ships. In the Antarctic Command Center, Elena watched the tactical display with her team. Phase 2 is operational, she confirmed. Quantum displacement fields are functioning within parameters. The hegemony is regrouping, Admiral Chen noted. They're bringing in their heavy destroyers. Elena nodded. They would. Let's show them what else we've been working on. At her command, a signal propagated through the quantum network. Throughout the solar system, hidden installations activated. The true extent of humanity's preparedness was about to be revealed. The hegemony's second assault was more cautious. Heavy destroyers launched long-range kinetic projectiles, city killers designed to impact from a safe distance. They never reached their targets. Halfway to Earth, the projectiles encountered what appeared to be empty space. Instead, they passed through what human scientists had dubbed phase barriers, localized distortions in space-time that redirected objects without apparent energy expenditure. The kinetic weapons curved gracefully away from Earth, their trajectories bending into wide orbits around the Sun. Impossible, whispered Sharon's chief scientist. That violates fundamental laws of physics. Evidently not, Sharon replied coldly. Deploy the Nova-class destroyers. Full spectrum attack. The Nova-class represented the pinnacle of hegemony military technology. Warships capable of triggering artificial solar flares to scour planets clean of life. 3 of these monstrosities moved into position, their massive energy collectors extending to harness the sun's power. In the Antarctic Command Center, alarms sounded. They're deploying Nova-class, reported a technician. Solar aggression weapons. Elena's expression hardened. They're escalating beyond conventional warfare. Activate the Helios Protocol. Throughout the solar system, hidden human outposts acknowledged the command. Decades of secret research and development were about to face their ultimate test. As the Nova-class destroyers began harnessing solar energy, something changed within the sun itself. Fluctuations appeared in its magnetic field, subtle at first, then increasingly pronounced. The careful energy siphoning process the destroyers relied upon became erratic, unstable. "What's happening?" Sharon demanded as warnings blared across his command ship. "The sun's magnetic field is responding," his science officer replied in disbelief. "It's as if it's been programmed to resist the extraction." "Stars don't get programmed," Sharon snarled. Yet the evidence was undeniable. Humanity had somehow modified the sun's behavior, an achievement that should have been beyond any civilization's capability. The Nova-class destroyers struggled to compensate, their systems overloading as the sun's magnetic field actively repelled their collectors. One by one, they were forced to power down or risk catastrophic failure. In the darkness of space, humanity's message was becoming clear. They had prepared for this conflict in ways the hegemony could not have anticipated. Their apparent technological simplicity had been the perfect cover for advancement beyond anything the galactic community had witnessed before. And they were just getting started. The revelation. Supreme Consul Sharon paced the command deck of his flagship, 6 limbs clicking against the metallic floor in a rhythm that made his subordinates flinch. 2 solar days had passed since the initial invasion attempt, and the hegemony armada, once numbering over 3,000 warships, had been reduced by nearly a third without firing a single successful shot. "This is unprecedented," muttered Vorkal, the hegemony's grand strategist. His gelatinous form quivered with anxiety within its environmental suit. "We've conquered 73 species across 3 galactic arms, yet we cannot penetrate the defenses of a single world." Sharon stopped his pacing to study the tactical display. Earth remained silent, dark, seemingly undefended by conventional means. Yet every attack had been neutralized through methods that defied analysis. "There must be an explanation," Sharon insisted. "No species develops this level of technology in isolation. They've had help." "Our intelligence suggested no external alliances," Vorkal reminded him. "Humans have been quarantined within this system since we first detected their radio signals." "Then our intelligence was flawed," Sharon snapped. "Bring the Voidrender into position. If we cannot conquer Earth, we will eliminate it entirely." The Voidrender was the hegemony's ultimate weapon, a massive vessel housing a controlled singularity capable of tearing planets apart at the atomic level. It had been used only twice in the hegemony's long history, both times against civilizations whose resistance threatened the established galactic order. As the enormous ship moved into position, its silhouette blotting out the stars behind it, Earth finally responded. A transmission reached not just the hegemony fleet, but every inhabited world across the galaxy. This time, a woman appeared on screen. Commander Elena Reyes, though she introduced herself only as the voice of Earth. "Attention hegemony forces and galactic community," she began, her expression calm but resolute. "We have observed your escalation to planet-killing weaponry. We had hoped our demonstration would be sufficient to establish mutual respect without further conflict." Her image was replaced by schematics of the Voidrender, detailed to a degree that should have been impossible for a non-hegemony species to possess. "We understand the Voidrender's operating principles," Elena's voice continued over the schematics. "We know its vulnerabilities. We know you have used it to commit genocide twice before. We will not allow Earth to be the third." The transmission returned to Elena's face. "In good faith, we offer one final opportunity for withdrawal. What follows otherwise is not our preference, but our obligation to survive." The transmission ended. On the hegemony flagship, Sharon erupted in fury. "They threaten us. Activate the Voidrender immediately." The massive weapon began its power-up sequence, the controlled singularity at its core pulsing with gravitational distortions. Energy readings climbed as it prepared to tear Earth apart. In the Antarctic Command Center, Elena and her team monitored the situation with grim determination. "They're charging the Voidrender," Admiral Chen confirmed. "Estimate 4 minutes to firing capacity." Elena nodded. "Deploy the quantum mirror." Throughout the solar system, dormant technology awakened. Humanity's most closely guarded secret, the culmination of physics that the hegemony had never explored, prepared to reveal itself. As the Voidrender reached full power, its singularity core stabilized for the planet-killing shot. Charon himself gave the command to fire, mandibles spread wide in anticipation of victory. The weapon discharged, a focused gravitational beam that should have penetrated to Earth's core and triggered a cascading molecular breakdown. Instead, the beam encountered what appeared to be a mirror in space, invisible until the moment of impact. The gravitational force reflected perfectly, sending the devastating energy back along its path. The Voidrender had no defense against its own weapon. The reflected beam struck the ship's core, creating a resonance effect with the contained singularity. The massive vessel imploded, collapsing inward before vanishing in a flash of quantum annihilation. Silence fell across the hegemony fleet. Their ultimate weapon, along with 20,000 crew members, had been eliminated in seconds. But humanity wasn't finished. Throughout the solar system, hidden installations activated simultaneously. From the dark side of the moon, from within Mars' polar caps, from bases embedded in asteroids, humanity's true defensive capability emerged. Not weapons, but something far more advanced. A network of quantum field generators that began to alter the fundamental nature of space around Earth. What are they doing? Vorkal gasped as sensors registered the impossible changes. Reality itself seemed to ripple around the human homeworld. The quantum field expanded outward, engulfing the inner solar system in minutes. Within this field, the laws of physics operated differently. Hegemony ships found their faster-than-light drives inoperable. Weapons systems failed as quantum uncertainty rendered targeting impossible. Communication with the wider galaxy became unstable. Earth, however, seemed perfectly adapted to these altered conditions. Small human vessels appeared from hidden bases, moving through the quantum field with precision that suggested intimate familiarity. Elena's voice transmitted once more to the trapped hegemony fleet. This is the silent vanguard, humanity's response to a universe where the strong prey upon the weak. We have created a region of space where your technological advantages are neutralized, while ours are enhanced. On the main hegemony flagship, Charon watched in growing horror as human ships surrounded his trapped armada. For generations, we studied your conquests, Elena continued. We learned your patterns. We developed technologies specifically designed to counter yours. We prepared while appearing unprepared. The human ships maintained their positions, making no aggressive moves despite their clear advantage. This was never about defeating you, Elena explained. It was about creating a situation where you cannot defeat us. The quantum field surrounding our solar system is permanent. It cannot be disabled from outside, and any ship entering it falls under the same limitations yours now experience. Tactical displays across the hegemony fleet confirmed her claims. They were effectively neutralized, trapped in a region of space where their technological superiority meant nothing. We offer terms, Elena continued. Your remaining ships may leave unharmed. The hegemony will recognize Earth and the Sol system as sovereign and independent territory. In return, we will share certain aspects of our quantum field technology for peaceful applications only. She paused before adding, should you attempt invasion again, we will expand the quantum field to encompass your core worlds. We have the capability. We would prefer not to use it. In the flagship's command center, Grand Strategist, Vorkal turned to Charon. Supreme Consul, we must accept their terms. We cannot fight in these conditions, and we cannot allow this technology to spread beyond their system. Charon's mandibles clicked in fury, but even he could recognize an unwinnable scenario. Very well, he hissed. Send our acceptance. As the defeated hegemony fleet limped away from Earth, news of the confrontation spread across the galaxy. A single planet had stood against the mighty hegemony and emerged not just unscathed, but victorious. 3 months later, representatives from 24 Previously conquered species secretly met with human diplomats. If Earth could resist the hegemony, perhaps others could learn to do the same. In the Antarctic Command Center, now serving as Earth's primary diplomatic hub, Alina reviewed reports of these meetings with Admiral Chen. The hegemony is already facing internal resistance, Chen noted. 3 systems have declared independence using modified versions of our quantum field technology. Alina nodded. The balance of power is shifting, not through violence, but through the removal of the hegemony's ability to project force. Was that the plan all along? Chen asked. Not to defeat them, but to free everyone else. Alina smiled for the first time in months. The Silent Vanguard was never just about protecting Earth. It was about changing the rules of a game rigged against freedom. Sometimes the best way to win isn't to dominate the board, it's to transform it entirely. Across the galaxy, Earth's final broadcast was being studied, analyzed, and increasingly celebrated. It hadn't been a surrender. It had been a declaration of a new reality, one where technological innovation in service of freedom could overcome even the most entrenched tyranny. The age of the hegemony was ending. The age of humanity had just begun. But as Alina knew, as the Silent Vanguard project had always recognized, with great power came great responsibility. Humanity's challenge now wasn't surviving the hegemony, but ensuring they didn't become the very thing they had fought against. The quantum field surrounding Earth served as both shield and reminder. True strength lay not in conquest, but in creating spaces where freedom could flourish against any odds. And that was a message worth broadcasting across the stars.